Hey, how's it going, guys? It's Black Scarecrow, and welcome back to another Black Ops 2 video and the second part of my two-part video series, mini-series I suppose, of what Black Ops 2 did right and what Black Ops 2 did wrong. If you guys want to check it out, I already did what Black Ops 2 did right down in the comment section below. I'll leave a link to that video, but for now, we're focusing on what Black Ops 2 did wrong, and there's quite a bit more than there was in the previous video. I was racking my brains for the first video, racking my brains for this one as well, coming up with as much as I could, and the list is a little bit longer. I wish it wasn't. I wish Black Ops 3 was, you know, a shining example of Call of Duty and what all it can be, but it's not. It has problems, it has a lot of problems, and a lot of things that could be a lot better to make it a fantastic Call of Duty. At the moment, as it stands, it's an average Call of Duty. It's an average, you know, painfully average Call of Duty with a lot of flaws and a lot of issues. And that's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. So since it's kind of a long list, we're just going to get straight into it. So number one, we have hit detection. Classic Treyarch hit detection, especially in the past couple weeks. Since the latest patch, the hit detection has just gone to absolute crap. Now, I'm a sniper, so I'm going to feel it more than anyone when the hit detection is rubbish. Because when I land a shot, I expect to at least get a hit marker. And when I don't, when I get, you know, barrel stuffing hit markers, or don't even get hit markers in people's chests, you know, it's just, as a sniper, there's nothing more frustrating than when your shots don't hit and you clearly hit that shot. There's nothing more frustrating when that happens. So, you know, Treyarch is not always known for their smooth hit detection. Black Ops 1 is a pretty big example for this. Even Black Ops 2 had its issues. And, yeah, still, the engine and, like, whatever, like, their form of code and their form of COD, like, it doesn't handle hit detection really, really smooth. Even if you have a god ping, you know, it's sometimes it's painful to watch when the hit detection doesn't happen. When I used a Shiva or any of the semi-auto weapons in Black Ops 3, it's painful because I almost have to aim a little bit ahead of someone or a little bit behind them, and it's just, the hit detection is garbage. A lot of it sure could be, you know, lag compensation, but still, in its purest form, the hit detection in this game is anything but smooth. I'd take Infinity Ward's hit detection any day of the week. Next, we have matchmaking. I'm sure you guys are well aware of this fact. If you played Black Ops 3 for any standard period of time, you'll know that the matchmaking is absolutely garbage. We went from Advanced Warfare, where you had to sweat your ass off just to compete with all the other good players in the lobby because it matched you with good players. Here, you have to sweat your ass off just to try and keep your team afloat, basically. You have to put up with 5 spuds, 5 sponges, 5 lumps of dead weights on your team, and you have to carry them aching over the finish line, all of them, as they go negative every single time. That is my Black Ops 3 experience for solo play 90% of the time. Eventually, by sheer luck and chance, you will eventually get a team that's competent, a team that can win. You know, that's bound to happen eventually, but a lot of the time, in my experience and so many other people's experiences, you have to carry 5 people that have no idea what they're doing, or just below average skill, while the enemy team just seems to cruise through with their players that are not godly, no, but just average, like better on average than you. So basically, Black Ops 3 punishes you for being the best person in the lobby. I can verify for this. If you have the highest KD, the highest SPM in the lobby, you will get lumped with at least 4 out of 5 of the most atrocious players in the lobby, and the game will do it repeatedly, over and over and over and over, and just say, here, deal with it. So, yeah. Broken matchmaking, not a good matchmaking system at all. Horrible, horrible, horrible matchmaking system. Up next, we have specialist characters. Now, specialist abilities and weapons don't have a place in Call of Duty in my mind at all. The entire specialist abilities and weapon traits, they don't fit into a first-person multiplayer shooter. For COD anyway, they don't fit, in my opinion. When you give players, good or bad players, the one-shot weapon abilities that are clearly better than anything else in the game, and then let them loose on the battlefield, it brings so much frustration. Really, it does. You are in so many situations where you can be confident in your gun skill, confident in your ability to beat the opponent, and he will just pull out a Ripper, he'll pull out a Purifier, he'll pull out a Tempest, he'll put out anything, the Annihilator even the Sparrow, and just blow you away. You have no chance. You have no chance unless the enemy team or the enemy is completely incompetent enough not to be able to aim within 3 feet of you. And it's just like the skill gap this year has been lowered to the point of there is no skill gap. If you don't have as much skill, there are so many ways to make up for that with the specialists and shotguns and freaking broken weapons and stuff like that. This year, it's just the skill gap is just lowered to the point that people that are slightly better than average, like myself and so many other people, get frustrated by the amount of catering they've done to players that aren't quite as good. Specialist weapons, particularly in this category, just frustrate me more than anything. A player that is 1/5 of my skill level can get a quad feed with a purifier, can get a 6-man with a ripper just by pressing the button a few times or by holding down the trigger and spraying. It's the most frustrating thing you can come across in Call of Duty. It has no place in the Call of Duty franchise, and the sooner that they get rid of specialist abilities and weapons, the fairer the game will be. We'll go back to a more fair and level playing field rather than this nonsense. Up next, we have the supply drop system. I'm not gonna go too much into this. You guys will know about supply drops and the trash, and you know, the rates are just so low of getting new weapons. I haven't gotten a gun in about 3 months now. I think the last one I got was the Banshee, and that was probably 3 or 4 months ago actually, which is ridiculous. If you can't get a weapon with like, it is so ridiculous. You guys know it's ridiculous. Supply drops really, you know, as funny as this seems, I think supply drops actually have a place in Call of Duty. They're a fun additive to the game. Just putting guns and weapons into the supply drops, no, that's a no-no. Keep it cosmetic only, then you have another fun little system that's great and adds some depth to the game, allows, you know, a reward for grinding. Take out the weapons, make it only cosmetics and emblems and calling cards, and you've got yourself another fantastic addition to the Call of Duty franchise, not this bullshit that we have right now. Up next, we have the PC port. Now, if you're a PC player, if you've played on PC on Black Ops, you'll know that the optimization this year was garbage once again. We had it pretty good last year with Advanced Warfare. There wasn't too many problems with it. The year before that, Call of Duty Ghost was absolutely atrocious. But then again, Infinity Ward was developing for 5 platforms. Treyarch has no excuse. They have had 3 years to develop this title, and the PC launch was still atrocious and terrible. A lot of people with high-end rigs were getting frame rate drops, and it was just garbage. Now it's stabled out a bit, and a lot of people are able to brute force it with the new graphics cards. But before that, if you had even a slightly weaker PC, you are struggling to achieve even the most basic of settings in this game. It's just the PC, the attention to PC is just disgusting. You know, I'm kind of over getting really shitty ports. I would like some effort to be put into a good port. Granted, the PC features are there. They went, you know, they did some nice stuff with the features this year, Treyarch. They just didn't optimize the game at all, it seems like. Finally, after about 7 or 8 patches, the game is in a playable state for a lot of people. But before that, so many people just left because they couldn't handle the frame rate drops and the low performance and the memory leaks and stuff like that. So yeah, once again, the PC port was pretty shoddy this year. I'm hoping the Infinite Warfare is better, hoping, but then again, no promises, because Activision just does not seem to put any priority on the PC port, which is a shame to see. Up next, we have one of the most, like for me, one of the most single frustrating things that happens in this game, and that is the player collision. You know, when you start running off spawn when the game starts and you bump into everyone on the way, or you're on a wall run and a teammate just happens to knock you off, or you're, you know, doing a jump shot and an enemy or a teammate decides to jump right beside you, and boom, your aim is entirely off. Why does Call of Duty need player collision? Really, why? Why? We no longer need it. Call of Duty is not set in realism, so to be able to go through your teammates should just be a given by now. I'm so sick of dying to enemy grenades because my teammates won't get out of the way fast enough. I'm so sick of not being able to retreat from a gunfight because a big fat ass teammate is stuck in a doorway blocking it. Player collision, we don't need it anymore, especially with the new movement systems, which means that it's twice as frustrating when you're trying to boost jump wall run and some fat ass teammate gets in your way and he has no idea what he's doing. So player collision, just get rid of the whole damn thing. Get rid of the whole damn thing. I want to be able to go through all of my teammates. That seems like a pretty legit thing to do for me. Really, it does. Like, it wouldn't be game breaking in my mind. I don't see any issues or flaws to that. But with it, I get frustrated more than anything about my teammates, and I'm sure they get frustrated with me as well when I'm getting stuck on them and they're getting stuck on me. Up next, we have the party system for Black Ops 3 on PC. It's absolutely atrocious. Joining on teammates and joining on people in your friends list is just horrible. Right now, you could be put onto the enemy team, you could be put on the friendly team. A lot of the time when one of my friends joins me, it'll just put him into a party with someone else entirely in the lobby. Some other random is not even on his friends list. A lot of the time, if you join a game with open slots on your friend's team, it will put you on the enemy team. It's all over the place. It has no priority on where to put you. It just shoves you into the lobby and expects you to deal with it. So a lot of the time you have to end up backing out of a lobby to pick up a teammate rather than them just joining on you, which is supposed to be so much smoother. The whole system is there. You should be able to do it. But then again, as usual, it's not optimized or fine-tuned enough, so a lot of the time you just end up thrown into some random's party and then they don't want you, so you end up getting kicked. Frustrating system that could have been so much better. Up next, we have the maps in Black Ops 3. Now, this is subjective. This is entirely subjective. A lot of people like the maps in Black Ops 3. Personally, for me, I don't like a lot of them, actually. With the movement system, what it does is it makes the maps so much smaller than they actually are. You can traverse the maps so much quicker, which means they're very, very fast paced, which kind of brings the whole game down, because if you're not running around with an SMG, you're at a disadvantage, a very, very large disadvantage from a lot of players. For example, if you're trying to use an LMG, if you're trying to use an assault rifle, you're trying to snipe, unless you're just as mobile as everyone around you, then you're getting fucked, basically, by people who have submachine guns and shotguns, because they can traverse the map so much quicker, and that comes down to there's no long sightlines in this game. Do you remember when the game first came out and people were struggling to get long shots for their guns? Since when has that been an issue in Call of Duty? Getting long shots? Sure, like in every Call of Duty there has been specific spots to go to, but a lot of the maps have been so much bigger as well. Even in Advanced Warfare it wasn't that hard to get long shots. In Black Ops 3 you have to go to specific spots on every single map to get long shots, because none of the maps are actually big enough. There was a glitch that you could put a Varic sight and a silencer on your weapons, and that would cut the long shot range in half, and so many people took advantage of that to get the long shots done for all their weapons because of how painful it was to get long shots any other way. You had to basically camp in a window, or for example camping down trains on Fringe was one of the only ways on that map to get long shots. So the maps are just too small. They need to be a bit bigger, especially with the advanced movement system, which is really smooth, which allows traversal of the map, and it's so much faster than a lot of other Call of Duties. So yeah, the maps in my opinion didn't work very often at all. Fringe and Infection probably are two of my favorites, just because of the fact that they are some of the biggest maps, and you can do a lot more. There's a lot more combat variety on those maps. So I'm hoping Infinite Warfare has some better variety of maps and better size maps that don't quite force you into specific engagement ranges. Up next, we have the melee system. Now, I really like the 2-hit melee system. I think that's a really good addition to Call of Duty. I think it should have been in there for a couple of years, but you know, it's in there now and it's a nice addition. But then they go and totally break that by adding a bunch of melee weapons. The amount of melee players this year has increased tenfold by the amount of melee weapons that have been added into the game, which is basically just Activision milking the supply drop system with new called supposed weapons that are just skins of the combat knife. I am so over getting knifed by 6 different types of supply drop cosmetic knives in Call of Duty. It's just like, I can't even count the amount of weapons that are in the game now, the amount of knives that are in the game. It's ridiculous. Sure, some of them are cool, but that doesn't make up for the fact that it's so frustrating to die by so many of them. A lot of people just carry melee weapons as secondaries, and they are so good with the movement. You can get up to people so fast, and they can hardly react, and you can like wreak destruction with the melee weapons. They're quite hard to counter actually, unless you've got a shotgun class, and even then they'll come at you when you least expect it. Like, I've got nothing against the combat knife. The combat knife was fun. If you really want to knife in this game, you can. But now there's just so many wacky supply drop melee weapons that people just like have 4 classes of them, it seems, and pull them out when they get frustrated or want to have a good time, and that just means frustration for everyone else in the lobby. I've seen so many lobbies degenerate into swearing matches and people shouting obscenities at each other because some guy was using a melee weapon, and pretty soon the entire lobby starts pulling out melee weapons, and then that's not a place I want to be at all. So I don't like the fact that Treyarch broke their own melee system that they added into the game. Like I said, they added and then they take away. It's just like, it's another system that's really good, but it's been cheapened by the fact that there is these ridiculous amount of melee weapons in the game. So I'm hoping that Infinite Warfare again doesn't take this turn, but there is supply drops in the game, so it's looking highly likely at this point. The last one I just want to tack on here at the end is actually the paint shop. I really like the idea of the paint shop being able to make custom camos for your weapons. That's really cool, except for the fact when it doesn't work. Throughout this entire year, I've barely been able to access the paint shop. I've been able to make like 4 or 5 camos, and I know this isn't so much of a bigger problem on console, but on PC, like, nothing shows up when you are trying to paint. None of the layers show up, none of the colors show up, only the bare gun shows up. It's just like the entire thing is broken, and it's been broken for so many people for so long, which means on PC, a lot of the people that were creating awesome custom camos just have transitioned to console, because they like being able to create custom camos, and so many awesome ones I've seen throughout the year on console have just been amazing. On PC, you barely see any custom camos ever, because people can't get the damn thing working. So once again, another system is really good on paper, but when in the game just has so many little flaws and bugs that make it almost unusable. But anyway guys, that's going to wrap it up for today's video. There's a lot of things in this video actually. This list is a lot longer than I originally thought it was going to be, but I just kept coming up with things that I just didn't like about Black Ops 3, and things that Black Ops 3 couldn't improved on but never did. So yeah, but if you do disagree with me, that's what the comment section is there for. Let me know what you know, if you disagree with anything, let me know if I missed anything. Do you have anything else to add to the list? Do you have anything else that, you know, you think I could have been more explained or anything like that? Let me know down in the comment section below. I love hearing from all you guys, I always do. Anyway guys, if you have enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more, and I shall see you, beautiful people, in the next video.